throw another prawn on the barbie. It's Haley with the Armageddon Report. So what we're looking at here is stormtimemachine.com, the storm reports from yesterday. You can't, of course, tell unless you're really good at counting, but there are over 900 reports on this map. So, in case you weren't affected by it and haven't heard, there was a major derecho event yesterday. Derecho, Spanish word apparently for straight. I've been calling it derecho all this time, had no idea. Now, to talk about derechos, I believe it's basically like a classification of a type of wind event. Like in the same way that a hurricane is a type of tropical cyclone, a derecho is when you've got an extended, long-lived wind event. And speaking of long-lived, this is from the Storm Prediction Center. This shows you just how widespread this thing was. So 2 p.m. Eastern all the way out to midnight Eastern on the coast. 600 miles in 10 hours, average speed of 60 miles per hour, which would put it at severe status. And then peak wind gusts of 80 to 100 miles per hour, which would put it at significant wind status, which starts at 75 miles per hour and greater. So derecho, my understanding, is like a bow echo event. So like, but if it were like just a shorter thing, so like maybe if it had stopped here and then there hadn't been as much damage past that or just kind of dissipated or whatnot, they wouldn't have called it derecho. But because it's this huge thing that affected many, many miles and lots of people, well actually they don't classify it based on people, because there's like, if there's a derecho out in the middle of open land, it's still a derecho. Anyway, so radar composite of this thing, just, it's insane. And here's the fun bit. Let's skip ahead. There's actually significant winds predicted for today again, so we could have day 2 of the derecho. So let's go back here to quickly go through, and I'll speed it up. Just look at this thing booking through. It's just nuts. Flipping crazy. So that's stormtimemachine.com. So here's another thing I wanted to bring up. If you watched the screencast yesterday, what was I talking about? I was talking about significant hail, because that was what was in the, the 1630, which would be like the 1130 central outlook. They were talking about significant hail. Here was the damaging wind map. So they had a 30% and they didn't have any significant. See, so one of the reasons why you want to stay up to date with all of the outlooks and such is that here was the thing that was put out at 2000 Zulu. They had upgraded it to a moderate in general. There's the tornado threat, and the big thing is, where the significant hail threat go, there's no significant hail, and then suddenly there's this 45% area with it shaded. So this was before the derecho, this would have been about the time, actually a little bit after it kicked off. Anyway, so they had upgraded it to a nearly, that would be like the 45% would mean a nearly 1 in 2 chance if you are in this area that you would see severe winds. And then of course the hatched part means that instead of just 58 miles per hour and greater, 75 miles per hour and greater. And this is relevant because we're going to be talking about this soon again. All right, let's see did I miss anything? Okay, so it's hot. So I still don't understand the science of it, but apparently derechos are a hot weather type event where I guess, our lovely, multi-day, record-breaking heat across the United States is kicking off these lovely derechos. So here's the map for today. And as you can see, here's tomorrow, still flipping hot. Day after tomorrow, looks like it might be tapering off. Apparently California, Arizona, still always hot. So this is today again. It's just, it's bloody miserable out of there, isn't it? And here, of course, unsurprisingly, is all of the heat warnings. So the peach stuff are the heat advisories. There's dark pink. I don't know what shade that would be. That's the excessive heat warnings. So it's just all over the place. And of course, Florida from Tropical Storm Debbie, still reeling from the Florida warnings. Back here, we've got red flag warnings still going on. That would be fire related due to the drought, dry conditions, stuff like that, where don't set anything off because fires can spread quite quickly. And excessive heat watch, I think, back here. No, excessive heat warning. So Arizona getting the same weather is my God, man, there's just completely widespread. So here's what's going on today. Let's see if the mesoscale discussion, everything appears to be out of order today. So let's move that. I think that goes over there. I have no idea what happened. Anyway, so here's today's map. Right. So 30% chance of winds, 15% chance of hail, 2% chance of a tornado. Let's refresh this, see if we've got the latest info. So the mesoscale discussion, I believe, was for Maine. And it was for isolated marginal severe threat this afternoon. So that's what's going on right now. Probability of water issuance, 20%. So probably Maine, you might see some things, but apparently not really. So specific probability maps, this. So we've already, it's the middle of a flipping heat wave, millions of people without power. So, of course you can't run your AC, just absolutely miserable conditions. And then this is potentially day 2 of the derecho. So what we have here is as high as a 30% chance of severe winds, which would be 58 miles per hour greater. And then in the black hatched area is where the significant winds, which are defined as 75 miles per hour and greater. And if we flip back to here, you can see that yesterday peak wind gusts of 80 to 100 miles per hour. So we're talking like low tornado, low hurricane type strength with the winds. And of course, since this straight line thing, it's just massive, and it just affects so many people. It's just miserable. So that's the wind map. Hail, which is not as huge of a threat, or at least as of this outlook, is as high as a 15% chance today, there and there. And then 2% chance of a tornado. So let's go back to the wind map. So, for instance, that would mean if you're in this random point in Virginia, that means that there is nearly, if we pick this random point, there's nearly a 1 in 3 chance that that random point or someone within a 25-mile radius of them will see a severe wind event today. So yesterday it got as high, let's see if I can find the appropriate tab, as high as 45%. And of course, the Storm Prediction Center, as of the next outlook, they may be upgrading this. But so it's actually, as of now, a lesser threat. Lesser predicted threat, but you should take it just as seriously. So, right, tomorrow, it's also a 30% chance. However, you see they don't mention anything about significance. So let's look at the probability maps. So, Georgia, North and South Carolina, can't get those words out of my mouth, is the highest area tomorrow, not today. And then 15% chance in a whole bunch of states around it, and then 15% up there for Montana and North Dakota. Day after tomorrow, July 2nd, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota with a slight risk. And then basically 5% risk for most of the country, right? Well, maybe not most, a quarter of the country, whole bunch of 5% area. Days 4 through 8, still predictability too low. So that would mean there is severe thunderstorms forecast someplace in days 4 through 8, and of course if you scroll down you can read more about it, but the timing and the location is not yet certain enough. So right, moving on to cyclocane.com, which would normally cover first, but since, there's huge wind things going on. So what's new? Here's the confusing bit. I've added spaghetti models to the map. Oh, I forgot. I know there's shift highlight thing, so there we do that. So, formerly, there was as high as a 20% yellow thing out here, so now it's kind of confusing that there's all these models coming out of nothing. So this is as of yesterday morning, not yesterday morning, last night's model run or whatever. This is, if this had turned into something, and I guess at the moment it's predicted not to, where it would be going. So that's what the spaghetti models are indicating, and of course if you click on individual ones you can find out which model it was, like LGEM, whatever that stands for. However, these two yellow blobs, 0% chance, 0% chance. Why it is even on the map when it's a 0% chance, I have no idea. Right, and then over here, in the Pacific type area, we've still got that high chance. So 21P actually is hanging out somewhere around here, but apparently is no longer being warned on, down to I think 30 knots, which is like, 38 miles per hour. And then former tropical storm Doksuri, a word I still cannot pronounce, is over mainland, is apparently dissipating quite quickly. They're no longer warning on that either, but we still have this high chance over here. So maybe as of tomorrow, we might be seeing something in the South Pacific. Right, so I think that takes care of things as of today. All right, we'll look at the spaghetti models again. So if this one were to regenerate or whatnot, it could pose a threat to the United States. But as of now, there's not even a probability blob there. And of course, former tropical storm Debbie, that's what this probability blob is related to, would not be affecting the United States at all. Oh, except for, increasing the National Hurricane Center's web traffic, people checking on it. That's how it would affect the United States. I have no idea. Anyway, so right, if you enjoy watching this nonsense, I don't know, you go to severeweathertv.com, which is the official home of the screencast. You can watch the old ones by clicking on that, where, you can see how, the map yesterday was talking about severe hail, significant hail, instead of the significant winds, which would have been much more relevant. Anyway, so right, today, you should absolutely pay attention if you're in this area. And of course, if you're without power, are you going to be able to pay attention at all? That's the problem with technology, isn't it? It kind of requires a power source. I don't know. So anyway, but nothing is apparently kicked off as of now, just 2 storm reports. And then, of course, if you're interested in cyclones or hurricanes, wherever they may be, hopefully they're on the map if they're actually active, I don't know. Cyclocane.com is cyclocana.com. And yeah, I hope this heat kicks off soon. Oh, wait, kicks off, that means begin. I hope this heat ceases soon, because it's just miserable and that everybody gets their power restored pronto. But of course, it's like a hurricane type event. It's going to be days for lots of people, which quite sad. Anyway, so that's it for today. Hopefully you're enjoying your weekend.